We all have voices.
Here we have two voices, one podcast, many stories.
And a little time to make sense of this beautiful chaos.
My name is Abhishek.
And my name is Hannah.
You
You
are
are listening
listening
to
to
Sounds
Sounds
Good.
Good. Hello, Hannah. How is life these days?
Hello, Abhishek. Life. How is life these days? How is work these days? That's the crazy concept of work life balance that I'm still figuring out since so many years in my life. And I realize that every one of us has his own or her own definition of this magical work life balance. I have to say that it changed over time. Why? Because I realized that for me, at the beginning, work life balance was that as long as I can manage, then that was work life balance. And I have to say that for so many years working in the pharma industry, I used to be very workaholic, working for so many hours, doing trainings and extra curriculum outside of the working hours. And as long as I was, I would say, younger than today and had energy, it felt for me like a work life balance. But what I realized with the age and moving more to leadership position and realizing that work is very demanding, I quickly realized that the balance of work life balance went more towards the work and less towards the life. And this is where I realized that work life balance became a very important part of my life, and that I really need to find a way for myself to have a better balance, to have much more time for my hobbies, spending time with my loved ones, and to work less in terms of hours, but still more in terms of productivity. And this is where I started to dig deeper in this work life balance. And then came COVID and changed completely the concept of work life balance. What about you, Abhishek? How do you see work life balance, and did COVID change your way of seeing it?
15 years back, my idea was more towards work and less towards hobbies or other activities. And of course, with realization, with experience, we get to learn new stuff. And with COVID, I agree that changed completely. So I could cut down the non effective or obsolete stuff from work and then focus more on hobbies. So one of the hobbies that I developed during COVID is reading books, which I'm still continuing. And I also figured out that once I have work something that I love doing, then I need not have to balance. It feels like play, and I don't get tired even if I work long hours.
What I did realize on my side, COVID had good sides and dark sides when it came to work life balance. On one hand, I had more space at home in the home office and to take more time for my hobbies. Actually, I picked up singing again on karaoke online platforms, and I had virtual duets with people I've never met before and living in different countries and parts of the globe. And this was really good. I started learning Spanish online because I felt there was enough time for it. And this was the bright side of COVID. Now, in terms of dark side, I also realized that because home became not only the place where we relax and escape from work, it became also the working place. It became very blurry for me where to draw the line between where or when my working day starts, when it finishes, when do I do my lunch break, when do I stop looking at my emails and start enjoying my hobbies.
Agree. So this also happened to me initially, but what has helped me now is focus work. So even when I'm working from home, I try to see I have specific slots for everything, book my calendar even for lunch or other activities, just to ensure that I'm not overdoing because I'm working from home. Do you think if COVID would not have happened, you would not have be able to reignite those new hobbies or the old ones?
During COVID, I reconnected with music at a point where you cannot imagine. And I even decided to invest a bit on a home studio and started back recording songs, writing songs. So it was a true inspiration. But it doesn't mean that COVID was not terrible. But sometimes we really need to touch the bottom and be in crisis to enjoy our life again. Now, the funny part during COVID and listening to you, I was also planning, put in my calendar even my lunch breaks, but I was not following my calendar. So I was seeing the time passing by where I'm supposed to cook or I'm supposed to eat while I was still typing for emails. And what I find it really difficult, limit not fair in terms of this common definition of work life balance, maybe you would agree with me, Abhishek, is that it's a bit excluding people or adults that don't have kids. Because most of the time I hear, yeah, work life balance, when families have kids, then they need to spend time with their kids and they need to take them to school. But what about people that don't have kids? I mean, we do have a life too. And this is a bit something that so far I see that organizations are speaking and communicating a lot about work life balance, but in reality it takes deeper work, more common understanding to understand that people that prioritize their leisure time are not less productive, are not less competent. They shouldn't be punished for that. At the opposite, they are more marathon runners in work at work, which means they can preserve their productivity and their competency on a long run without burning out. And probably this is a call to action on my side to most of the organizations or companies to really not evaluate employees based on their number of hours working and how on the 24/7 are reachable or not, but how much results they bring, how much impact they have on people, and how much impact they have on the culture of the company.
So the organization still look employees more from the industrial point of view, where they want employees to work say 40 hours week. So you have to put in 8 hours of work irrespective of the work you have, and people don't look at the input versus output definition. So the other point that you mentioned and that I found really interesting is people's idea about life. So individuals who don't have kids, maybe it's difficult for organization to think what life is all about and to define that hobbies are also part of life. So, it sounds good on a slide, on a PPT, in a casual talk, but in a strategy meeting, probably not. And that's why people shy away with this topic most of the time.
To be honest, when we look at everyone, and again, I'm not segregating here between people that have kids or not, but the amount of time we spend doing things that we love outside of work is actually beneficial getting back to work because we have then more energy, more motivation, and sometimes more innovation because we bring some innovative ideas that have nothing to do with work on the surface, but could be fresh perspective, different ways to do strategies, different way to do business.
Question on the same topic. Can you give an example where you brought in innovation from outside based on your hobbies to the organization?
So if you have time to be in a choir because it's your hobby and you enjoy singing, then you know what does it take to work in alignment. Then you know what does it take to celebrate differences and still make something good out of it. And I don't think I can find any better example than being in a choir or even being listening to classical music, going to concerts where you see the conductors harmonizing all those instruments and at the same time you pick some of the examples of how can you lead and how can you make every voice count. And this is my main example that I can take from my hobbies and my personal stories straight to work and apply it at work for a better team collaboration, for a better leadership, and for a better diversity and inclusion mindset.
That's an excellent example. And teamwork is definitely required in organization, and sometimes people miss out on this key element. Another aspect on the work life balance topic is, what about people who don't have hobbies?
Maybe for you and me is working less hours and having time to spend with our families and our hobbies. For some people, work life balance means more work than life. And maybe they love their job, and then maybe they love doing going the extra miles. And that's also okay, because I think work life balance is a personal choice. Now, what I would also suggest to the same people is that if you love your work and you work all the time to escape the fact that you don't have a lot of friends or you don't have a lot of hobbies, this could be a silent killer, because you cannot work the whole time on a long run without a break, without doing something else. And this can lead actually to burnout. So what I suggest to those people, if you don't have a particular hobby, then spend time trying out different things. You might discover a hobby, because not all the hobbies come to us when we are kids and we just discover them. Some hobbies come later on, maybe gardening. 'Cause I know some people that discovered gardening at 70 years old and plus.
Do you still feel that in life we could balance these two aspects, or it is just a term that sounds good in some or the other way?
Yeah, that sounds good on the surface, work life balance, but it's up to all of us, or to each one of us, to have our own definition, because work and life are not completely separate. Work is part of our life, and it's up to us, each one of us, to see what's the rhythm that makes us happy, what do we have to do, what do we want to do, balance it. But I think also it's the responsibility of each one of us to increase awareness and to have those open conversations with our respective organizations, even to organize workshops, to have this common alignment that if we have different concept of work life balance, then it's also okay, and all of us could cohabit with our different beliefs and different ways of doing things. So for me, it's a message of diversity and inclusion, it's a message of common understanding, and it's a message of uniqueness.
So, diversity, common understanding, and bringing in more awareness. What a wonderful message to end with. With this, we end our episodes of Sounds Good today. We see you next time. Take care.